What's up everyone, Bowers here from the Slow Cheese, and today we're going to be looking at the power of the new Rift Herald buff, specifically on split pushers and duelists in the top lane, and how it can be best utilized to influence the game, and how to get the most value out of it as a top laner. Those interested in the new series of the beginner guides can stay around at the end of the video for more details regarding that series. With the introduction of patch 6.9, a lot of the item changes are making us move away from the tank meta. Like, a lot of the tank items have been nerfed, things like Blood Razor with percent HP damage, things like that. And in that, we can see a lot of the carry top laners and bruisers like Jax, Aurelia, Riven, Darius slowly coming back into the meta. Now, this game specifically, I'm playing Yasuo top just because I main Yasuo, but it doesn't really matter. It's mostly just important that your top laner is a split pusher. People like Tryndamere and stuff like that will also work relatively well. The Rift Herald buff itself is one of the main reasons that these champions are slowly coming back into the meta, because it allows them to duel better and snowball harder, and they can utilize it the best as split pushers. So for those that don't know, the Rift Herald buff has been reworked. Now the Rift Herald only spawns once per game, and it spawns at 6 minutes instead of 4 minutes. And the buff lasts for 20 minutes, and it will persist through death. So it doesn't matter if you die or not, you'll always have the buff for that entire 20 minutes. So basically, while no allies are nearby, you get a 5% damage reduction, and you get these things called corruption stacks, which are generated over time. So it's not like through movement, like static shiv or rapid fire cannon. At 100 stacks, your next basic attack consumes all the stacks to deal bonus magic damage. This works against champions and structures, which is one of the main important reasons why it's so good on split pushers. This game I build Phantom Dancer Trinity Force Yasuo, which synergizes particularly well with the buff. I get the 12% damage reduction from the Phantom Dancer, giving me 17% in total, and then the Trinity Force for the Sheen effect and extra dueling and mobility helps me split push, rather than building a teamfight orientated build such as Shiv Infinity Edge. It's normally best to already have a lead in your lane before picking up the Herald buff. It will help you snowball harder, and it may be wasted if you're already too far behind. You want to get the most value out of the buff that you possibly can. In this game, I gain an early advantage by picking up a couple of early kills, and as I see the opportunity, I call my jungler over for a gank, and then for us to pick up the Herald afterwards. So after a successful gank, we come and pick up the Herald buff, and it goes over to me. With the old Rift Herald buff, there was always the argument over who it should go to, the jungler or the top laner, but with this new one, it's definitely a lot stronger for the top laner because they can utilize it better. Some, carry or heavy dueling or invade style junglers like Lee Sin, Nidalee, Elise could probably utilize this buff pretty well, but you have to remember that it also procs off auto attacks. So, this game specifically, we had a jungle Malzahar, and he's not going to be utilizing that very much. So it kind of really just depends on who can use it the best in your team comp. For me, this game, I'm playing Yasuo, and my aim is to split push, so I'm going to use it better than Malzahar at this point. So when I finally pick up the buff, I pretty much walk straight into lane, and as I already have a lead over the Alawi, I just pretty much 1v1 her immediately, and with the help of the damage reduction from the buff, it's a pretty easy fight for me. It could have been cleaner, but after that, I immediately utilized the corruption part of the buff to start pushing down the tower quickly. You'll see here, like, the purple particles on the tower is the corruption, being procced. And at this point, I don't have Trinity Force yet, so I can't push as fast as I will be able to later in the game. I only really have my Phantom Dancer for attack speed, and I think a Phage at this point. But as you can see here, the buff enables me to pick up the first tower quicker than I normally would be able to. So after the laning phase is where this buff can really shine through. It really improves your ability to split push as well as your overall dueling strength. So at this point, I'm pushing for the inner tower in my top lane, and even though I get ganked, I'm applying a lot of pressure on the map, and I'm really strong at this point, so I can utilize the buff really well. I get a double kill here, 2v1, and you'll see in a moment I get ganked, but I've just killed the top laner and the mid laner, and now the support and jungle are coming to me to gank me. And even though I die here, I'm still applying such a large amount of pressure on the map, and you can see the rest of my team is trying to push and gain advantages and objectives like Dragon in other places. And that's only possible for them to do because of the strength of my split push. And I know this video is about the Rift Herald buff specifically and not just about split pushing, but you can see how the buff really helps empower the strength of your split push. So with the help of the buff, I can finally pick up the inner tower and start pushing towards the inhib. As you can see, I'm continuing to create massive amounts of pressure with my split push and constantly causing multiple members of the team to come fight me. At this point, they need 3 or 4 members just to kill me. Otherwise, I'll be able to 1v1 or 2v1 whoever else they send up. And you can see the amount of damage like that the Rift Herald buff adds to your tower pushing. And as I said, you can do these kind of riskier pushes like this because the buff persists through death. So it's not like Baron buff where you're like constantly being extra careful not to die so you don't lose the buff for your team, and you can give up your life a few times to trade objectives, obviously within reason if you think it's worth it, but to trade objectives on other places of the map in place for your life. However, you still get to keep the buff. So really that's kind of up to you, but at least like the buff allows for the flexibility of that kind of decision if the game calls for it, and you're not punished so heavily for dying. So finally, I'm creating enough pressure that my team can push for the bot lane in here while I'm pushing top, and obviously while my team is bot, the enemy team is trying to defend bot. So I'm able to get solo time in the top lane with the inhib, and you can see there that the corruption stacks are proccing on the inhib as well. And so I'm able to take down that quicker, and I burn double sums here, but I don't manage to get the kill because he flashes my tornado. And at this point, the game's pretty much over. I've created enough pressure, and at this point I've done my job as a split pusher. And I've forcing my way down top lane. I've got my team enough of an advantage to snowball from. Like, I haven't built for team fights, and I haven't been much of a threat or I haven't really been joining in any of the team fights. But the Herald buff has enabled me to create enough pressure on the map to snowball my own lane and also relieve pressure from the rest of my lanes. So they are free to take objectives wherever they can on the map while I'm creating pressure top lane. In this final clip, I don't have the Herald buff anymore, but we just picked up Baron. So, like, from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, this is a 33-minute long game, I've had the Herald buff. So, for the majority of the game, I've managed to have it. Like, it's a really long duration. I'm sure it will probably get nerfed at some point down to 15 or so, but at the moment, it's really quite strong. And you want to utilize it as best as you can and get the most value out of it. And that's why it's really strong on these kind of split pushing or duelists like Riven, Fiora, Yasuo. It can work, and even bruisers and stuff like Darius or Pantheon, it can work pretty well on them as well. Or even like Tryndamere. Like, really anyone that has a decent split pushing capabilities, this buff is fairly strong on, just for the strength it adds to your split push. So now we can see the game is coming to an end. It ended up being a fairly clean game for us. But yeah, I just hope this video gave you guys insight on how to best use the new Rift Herald buff. I'll be sure to be making some more videos along the lines of, the new mid-season update. Otherwise, you can check out the rest of our channel for other content on other games. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. What's up, guys? If you waited around this long at the end of the video, then obviously you're interested in the new series coming out on the channel, which is the beginner guides tutorials or series. This should be coming out in the next week or so, the first video, and it's just going to be the basics on the client and getting into the game and setup and whatnot. And hopefully I can get a video out once a week or so, roughly. I'm about to be on holiday, so I'll have a bit more time to do so and get this series out. Feel free to mention or in the comments or message us any ideas you have for the series. You can contact us, our Facebook and Twitter, and everything is in the description below. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if this video is helpful, or you want to be notified when the series comes out. And thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you guys next video.